Hey, this is the old gaming geezer, and we're sitting here on the launch pad, ready to launch our first test flight of our new space shuttle. Everything's been tested. Everything's looking good. As we throttle up, we turn on the SAS and we prepare for ignition. And we're off. Everything is looking really... what? Wait, what? Crap. Okay, so everything's not looking so good. We have a lot of explosions. And Kablammo. And our SRBs are still flying up through the sky. Let's have a look at them. There they go. Looks like our SRBs managed to launch pretty well. Pity about the rest of the rocket, really. You know what? We'll keep working on the design. We'll keep working. Okay, so our next iteration of this design is, I've just done some tweaks here, and everything seems to be going well. It's taken off pretty well, and the whole spaceship has now fallen apart. So we're still flying. I still think we can make this work. We can get it back down. We can get everybody down safely. And yes, everybody is down safely. It's all good. It's all good. So we try again. We adjust we've strutted the whole fuel tank, and now we're going up, and we're pitching over forwards at a slow rate, but a rate which we can't seem to stop. So obviously there's something seriously wrong with so let's dump everything and try and land this thing. We'll try and land this. Drop the landing gear. We're going to be okay. We can hear the explosions behind us. You know, this thing flies pretty well. We've nosed up alarmingly, but I managed to get it back under control. We're coming back down. Yeah. This whole shuttle thing is, it's not really working out the way I'd planned. But you know what? This is all the testing phase. The testing phase is it's important for anything, as I lose two of my engines there. But you know what? The orbiter is fine. It's just fine. Perfect is what it is. It's going to be fine. So, a few adjustments later, and we try again. And it's, again, nosing over at an alarming way. But you know what? Again, I'm confident. I'm confident that I can pull this off. I can pull it up. And now we're going down. Okay, we can't pull up. We can't do anything. And more Kablammo. I will get this. I really will. I'll get it. You know, everything hit the ground there. But it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Okay. Now, on this one, I am using some new engines. I'm using some KW Rocktry engines, and of course, again, it doesn't work. But the KW Rocktry engines they've got a little bit more thrust. They're on the back of the orbiter, I mean. So the KW Rocktry engines, they really, really, really made a difference there. I'm sure you can see, because our guys survived. But these are all simulations. You know they're all simulations. So, again, we try this. And up we're going. And these test flights are just test flight after test flight, trying to iron out the bugs, of which there are only one or two in this design. Like one of my engines just exploded there. I don't know if you notice it. But you know, these are bugs. These are developmental hiccups. They're every design has some flaws that need to be ironed out before you go to final product, as I say, as the explosive death rains down on everywhere. Okay, let's try it again. Now, I've changed the center of gravity in this. I've pushed it forward a little bit. Hopefully this will work. Now, for some reason, it's not playing the sound here. I don't know why. It didn't record the sound for a few videos. But this way seems to be working well. I've managed to figure out my whole center of gravity problems. Or so I thought. But it's going up slowly. It seems to be quite stable. Everything is working out pretty well. I'm going to speed up time here because we go quite high on this one. So let's speed up time. We're going up. and it's beginning to wobble. We're beginning to lose control, but I've managed to hold it in place. I'm looking at where the fuel is draining from, and now we're way too shallow, so we dump our SRBs, and I'm just trying to see if I can level this thing off at all, but I'm losing control. The thing is wobbling around like crazy. I dump the fuel tank, and my plan was to try and land on the island runway, but I totally lost control of the ship because my test payload had broken free and was bumping around inside the cargo bay, which I didn't realize, which is why I opened the cargo bay and dumped it. But that didn't help. Lost everything. Now this time, I am trying something new. I'm trying to use the Energia model to launch this thing. Now, what is the Energia model? The Russian Space Agency, the Soviet Space Agency in the 1970s decided to build a space shuttle similar to the US space shuttle that was launched in 1981, I think. The Russian space shuttle system used a slightly different launch system. The solid rocket, it had liquid rocket boosters, not solid rocket boosters. This one here that you see has solid rocket boosters. The Energia launch system also had an engine at the bottom of the central tank, which this ship here has a engine at the bottom of the central tank, a KW Rocktry engine. Now I'm looking at I start to pump the fuel around here to try and keep this thing stable, but I kind of did it wrong, which is why it goes totally unstable later. Going back to the Soviet shuttle system, they actually made one launch into space, a remote launch of the first shuttle in their launch family, the Buran. I don't know. Buran. I could be pronounced that wrong. I don't know. And it was remote, and it was a successful launch, and it went up into orbit, and I think it stayed up there for about a week, and it came back down again, all on remote, and it was a great success. But that was in, I think, 1989, and the Soviet Union fell apart a year later. The Russian Federation was planning on continuing the Buran program. Well, it wasn't actually called the Buran program, but that's what it's kind of referred to these days because the Buran was the first ship. We're looking here at another launch, but they cancelled it in, I think it was 1992 or 1993 because they just didn't have the funds to develop it further. But the launch system was quite interesting. It had liquid rocket boosters and a liquid rocket in the middle. It was the launch system was called the Energia rocket, and it was designed as a multi-role launcher. It was designed to launch space planes like the Buran, and the second one built a Pichka. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was also designed to work as a standard rocket. But with the cancellation of the Buran program, the Energia rocket was also pretty much abandoned. There's been talk for several years about going back to the Energia system because it seemed to work quite well. Not that you would get that from looking at my video here, as my ship is rotating rapidly out of control, spinning out of control, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it back under control. I very optimistically had a look to see how high my apoapsis was. I was very optimistic of me. My apoapsis was about 20 kilometers at that point. So I'm trying to get this thing into under control, and I dump the fuel tank. Dump the EFT, and I figure I'm going to try and do a water landing here. So I'm trying to spin this thing back under control. I'm getting very close to the ground. I'm 2 kilometers up now and falling rapidly. And I get it under control. Finally get this thing under control. I rather optimistically deploy my landing gear. And I try and slow down. Try and get low, and I try and slow down as much as I can by flaring quite high. But I managed to get down, and most of the plane is destroyed. But the boys are okay. Jeb and I think it's Shepwell is in there, are okay. They survived. They're just waiting for a helicopter to come pick them up. So, my amazing space shuttle program is going on hold for now while I figure out what the hell to do next. So meanwhile, I need to send a ship back out to my science team on Minmus, who are collecting more and more science. Doing a fine job now that they're not on the moon anymore and they're back on Minmus. So here we are trying to get our Minmus encounter, and I messed this up. The ship that I've designed to go out there, it's really designed to go out there, grab the science and come back. And judging by my amazing methods of designing these rockets and the thought and care I put into them, this thing is off-center. It's got off-center thrust, and you can see it's wobbling around, and I'm trying to keep it on the node. I don't know what it is. I think I balanced it out using a parachute on one side and the Kerbal Engineer system on the other side. And yeah, it didn't really work. But you know what? I managed to keep it in. I managed to keep it stable enough to get it out there. So here you see me trying to fix my orbit, my transfer orbit to Minmus, because it's just terrible. So I have to do a little manlying to get it right back to where I want it to be. There's me doing the maneuver, manlying it a little bit more, and there we go. I've got it in to where I want it, and now we go out to Minmus, and I set up an alarm for myself and start speeding up time. Okay, we're coming up to Minmus now. We're at the top of our orbit, falling back down now towards Minmus. I don't know why I did it that way, because I'm crap at this game, that's why. So, coming up, we're changing our sphere of influence now to Minmus, and still it's a pretty high orbit. I was a little bit higher than I thought, but I decided to use this to my advantage, because I need to actually dock with the Science Orium. So I figure I go into an orbit where I'm swinging high and low, so the Science Orium is going faster than me, and then when I'm close in, I can basically speed up and dock with it. That's my plan in it, and hopefully it's going to work out pretty well. I say it's my plan. That's what I made up when I realized, oh shit, I'm coming in a little bit too high, much higher than I thought I was going to. Well, however, Lemuel is now in orbit around Minmus. So meanwhile, back with Bill. Bill is heading back up to the station after doing some science on the surface of Minmus, which we saw in the last episode. He's coming back. He's just did a rendezvous there with the Science Orium, and now he is getting in close to it. He's got to drop off his science and get the boys in the lab to clean out his experiments. And here he is getting himself to come in close. He's getting alarmingly close now. But burns just to equalize his velocity. And starts controlling from there. Shuts down his engines and switches to RCS mode and brings it in for a nice, clean, smooth dock. Because Bill Kerman is the master of docking. He really is. He's done it so many times now. I think Bill has docked more than anybody else in the game. A little wobble there as he docked, but he's docked and everything's cool. It's all working out well. So he gets the guys to start cleaning out the experiments, and he'll be ready to head off again. Meanwhile, Lemuel has arrived, and he is bringing the ship in close to the Science Orium and the kerfuffle Kethane lander called Liberator, after the ship in the old BBC TV show Blake 7, which had those 3 pods on the outside. I know in my ship there are 3 engines. In the TV show they were 3 weapons pods, and the weird globe thing at the back was an engine. Well, mine doesn't have a weird globe thing at the back, but I decided to call it Liberator anyway because I'm a diehard geek, and that's just the way I am. So Lemuel is bringing the science transfer ship into dock with the Science Orium, and another nice smooth dock from another excellent pilot. As we've seen, Lemuel has been testing space shuttles and airplanes in the past. And he gets in and he touches in and it's perfect. Perfect mating of two spaceships. There, it's lovely. So Lemuel jumps out and he heads over to Bill. Almost face plants into the side of the Scienceorium first. Heads over to Bill. He's having a look at the ship first. Looking lovely. Grabs onto the ladder. Takes all the experiments out of the pod of the Liberator and then heads back to his ship. Now, he's not going to go straight home now. He's going to wait up here and let Bill do a few trips, and he's going to bring back, hopefully, 1,000 science points, 2,000 side points. That's my plan eventually. So, Bill decides it's time to head back down, do a little bit more science. He very carefully and deftly maneuvers the Liberator away from the Scienceorium. He activated his main engines there, shut off his RCS, I'm sure. And we're going to land on the, I think those are the lesser flats, the Minman lesser flats. I'm going to come clean here and say I looked at a map of biomes on Minmus. So he's going to land there. Now, there's no Kethane there. But I don't think he's going to need to mine any Kethane because he actually has a full tank of Kethane and he's got 3/4 of his fuel in his fuel tanks. So, this is because this is why I moved to Minmus. Fuel is not really an issue on Minmus. The gravity is so low. You can basically jump around. They can jump up and get down. Bill actually popped out of the capsule there and did a little EVA science over the flats. The lesser flats, I think they are. Well, we'll soon find out. And we're coming down to a nice smooth landing on this lovely flat ground. It's so green and minty. I know I said that before, but I'm going to say it again. The mint ice cream of Minmus. It should be called Mintmus. I'm just talking crap now. And here we see our shadow getting closer and closer as Bill gets the ship down to the ground. He's coming in very slowly here. He's not making any mistakes. He really got a shock the last time when he crashed on the moon. He's coming down smoothly, calmly, and touchdown. Beautiful. Beautiful touchdown for Bill Kerman. So Bill starts to do his science, taking some temperature, EVA reports, goo reports, the whole works, everything. And what the hell is he doing? And he gets out of the ship. So I think what Bill really wanted to do here was to do a big giant jump to see how high he could go. And my God, he can jump pretty damn high. An astronaut has to have a sense of humor as well. So Bill is heading back now. He actually planted a flag off camera, and now he's heading back up to the Scienceorium. He's gonna get all his. He's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna get all of his stuff, all of his science-based stuff cleaned, and he's gonna dump off his experiments with Lemuel. And then it's pretty much going to be rinse and repeat. I'm going to try and do a few of these off camera before the next episode, because it's just going to be routine. Landing, docking, landing, docking, landing, docking, landing, docking, landing, docking. You get the picture. Hopefully, by the time I have my next episode ready, Lem I'll probably start with Lemuel coming back with all of his lovely science. And here's Bill coming back to the Scienceorium to dock again. We'll probably do another docking this episode. Who knows? So next episode will be hopefully using some more advanced science to finally get my fucking space shuttle into orbit. It's all part of the process of designing a complex piece of engineering and testing it and getting it to work. And it will work. I'm quietly confident that I will be able to get this space shuttle into orbit. Whether I'll be able to build a viable space shuttle program, I don't know. I really want to unlock some of the newer large 3.5 meter parts. I have never used those. because this is basically the first time I'm playing with version 2.3.5. Bob gets a nice docking there. Very good. So I don't know what those parts are like. I hear they're quite powerful. I'm looking forward to seeing them in action. I'm hoping to use them, the bigger engines, the engine clusters, as my as the engines for my Energia style launcher. And I also want to unlock the hybrid engine that's a rocket and a jet. But until then, this is the old gaming geezer. I'm going to sign off as the sun sets over Minmus. Good night to you all.